Well, back here at home in just a bit, House lawmakers are set to vote on whether to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. It's all stemming from his refusal to turn over audio of President Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur. But given the razor-thin Republican majority, the chance of this contempt resolution passing are still up in the air. House Speaker Mike Johnson telling reporters he plans to push forward with it regardless.
I do think the contempt of Merrick Garland will pass on the floor, and we're anxious to have that happen. We're going to utilize every tool that we have in our arsenal because we're required to do so under the Constitution.
Our Jay O'Brien is tracking it all from the Hill. So, Jay, let's talk about why the advance to the floor, as it's advanced to the floor, why is there this uncertainty that it'll pass?
Well, because there are moderate Republicans, Kira, who have expressed some skepticism about this move, particularly because this is a difficult vote for some moderate Republicans who are in competitive districts that perhaps President Biden, for instance, won in 2020. So there are moderates that you've got to watch closely as we go into this vote that's going to be within the next hour or so from now. Because, as you mentioned, that razor slim House Republican majority, if everybody shows up to work today and everybody is voting, and because that's the calculus that defines this, Republicans can only afford to lose two of their own, two Republican no votes, or rather, they can only afford to lose one, two no votes, and that tanks this. So watch those moderates closely. As to the question of why bring this to the floor if it's not guaranteed to pass, because the rule in the House has typically been you don't put legislation on the floor if you don't think it's going to pass. We are in a different era of House Republican leadership. Because they have this slim majority, the best they can do, we've heard from House Republican leadership sources, is work the vote as best they can and then put these contentious pieces of legislation on the floor and push their members to all get in the same boat, all row in the same direction, and vote for this.
All right. Well, what's next?
Well, right now, we've got to have a vote that's, again, within the 3:30 to 4:30 period. Again, you've got to watch the moderates very closely. And then, of course, you've got to watch the reaction we hear from both Republicans and Democrats. The White House has said they do not want this audio because it all focuses, again, on that audio of the interview between President Biden and special counsel Robert Hur. The White House has said they do not believe this audio should be turned over because, A, they say it would discourage subjects of future federal investigations from participating if they knew that the media of their interviews would be essentially handed over to Congress. And B, they say Republicans would chop this audio up, make campaign ads out of it, and use it for political purposes. House Republicans have said, look, they asked for this audio. They did it in a lawful way through congressional oversight, and it is up to the Attorney General to hand that audio over. The Attorney General has expressed all of those concerns that I just said that the White House has had. So that's the point of contention here. And regardless of what happens, if this does pass on the House floor, it's then up to the Department of Justice as to whether or not they actually want to bring criminal charges because of this contempt proceeding. And the reality here is the Department of Justice is almost certain to not want to bring criminal charges against the person who runs the Department of Justice, Kira.
Understandably. Jay O'Brien from the Hill. Jay, thanks.